Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
It's breaking news. El Chapo, one of the most notorious drug...
There are three generally accepted kinds of aliens: the Greys, insectoids, and the reptilians. But 9 times out of 10, what people report seeing are the Greys. In fact, I'm dubious about the other two altogether, especially the reptilians. I don't think those accounts are credible.
It's almost frightening how they manage to put the truth right in our faces and make it seem like nonsense, when in reality your world is the lie. TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes only.
People think of aliens as these beings invading our planet in some great cataclysm, destroying monuments, stealing our natural resources. But it's not like that at all. The invasion already happened. No one knows exactly when, but they're here. They've been here. The presence of the Greys is now a fact of life, like death and taxes. You probably already have the implants.
Is that a shooting star?
No, it's not. It's going up and down. What is that?
That's not a plane.
What is that?
Now, can we run that way?
Hang on. What on earth is that? Someone else shooting out in front of it now. There's two of them. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh my God, guys, you are looking... I don't know what you're looking at, but they're UFOs. If ever there's an unidentified flying object, that's that.
Can we go that way? Can we go that way?
There's two of them flying next to each other. Oh my God, you guys, I don't think you realise how lucky you are to even witness something like this. Look at them.
Oh my God.
What is that?
Can I quickly go that way a bit?
Yeah, go where you want, mate.
I'm running over. But I'm on the golf course. So can I try and run over like really close?
Nah, I've never seen anything like it.
Dad?
Yeah?
Is that a road there? Yeah. I'm just go on the field because that'll be right above us.
UFOs are real and aliens are real, but they're not from outer space. And that's according to the top 2 UFO researchers after decades-long research. So go to Sabrel.com and
so where do they think they're from
if
they're not from outer space?
They're interdimensional and potentially fallen angels, disguising themselves because they're liars. Of something, like you said, can't be proven or disproven. I'm from this galaxy 300 light years away.
This is kind of what Tucker Carlson thinks. He thinks there's a spiritual element to it. He thinks they've always been here, and he thinks that this is what's kind of documented in the Bible as like good and evil. And
that's it, exactly. I mean, that's what's going on. I mean, the top 2 UFO researchers said UFOs are real, number 1. Number 2, they're not from outer space. And number 3, they're demonic. And that's what I talk about. Where it talks about fallen angels interbreeding with humans, it's talked about in Genesis 6, and creating a race called Nephilim, who were men of renown, world leaders. UFOs.
This is a drawing of a demonic spirit that Aleister Crowley churned up or channeled. Does it not mimic some things that you've seen before? If you're having trouble remembering what you've seen that look like that, let me help you. That right there, what people would call a gray alien. With these recent hearings of former Navy pilots and others admitting and displaying that we have non-human type of phenomena in our possession, as well as indirectly answering about the type of crafts that we have that's not from this earth, it's time to acknowledge that many of these things are fallen angels and modern-day Nephilim hybrids. Though I do believe that there are a certain level of giants that still exist, this is among them. This is why Aleister Crowley has a drawing that looks like this right here, and this is why in ancient days there were drawings of spirits that looked like this, what was called the Wajina. Some saw it of the god of the sky. These are all the same thing, they're demonic. A sister in Christ who's saved now, one came to her when she was saved and she rebuked it in Jesus' name and it left. Prior to that, according to her, she said that it impregnated her, which is a reflection of Genesis chapter 6. Go read it. Where fallen angels mated with human women. And Jesus said, as in the days of Noah, so it'll be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. We're in this days now. If you want to stay updated, follow for more. The deadline is tomorrow. I'm doing a 3-day class on dream interpretation from the Bible. If you want to learn more about dream interpretation, learning God's voice, discerning from the enemy's voice, a basic symbol dictionary, and more, this class will be better.
When the fallen angels seen human women, they lusted for them and manipulated human DNA by interbreeding. This resulted in the Nephilim giants being born. Now, when the Anunnaki came to Earth, they too manipulated human DNA. So what these two stories tells us is there is clearly an incident where angelic beings descended to Earth and directly impacted humanity's evolution. Regardless if you're a Christian or not, this event is detailed across the entire world by several cultures. Here's a few similarities I wanted to make to compare the two entities, so you can see how they are really just one and the same. The Anunnaki literally have wings just like the biblical angels. The Anunnaki also look very similar to humans. And if you are familiar with scripture, the Bible mentions how the two angels that destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah looked like human men. So that's interesting. The only distinction between the biblical angels and the Anunnaki is the fact the Anunnaki are known as aliens in modern times, and the ancient Sumerians viewed them as gods. But what if I told you that aliens are actually in the Bible and they are known as angels? The ancient Sumerian tablets are older than the Bible. In fact, the ancient Sumerians themselves have the oldest written language in the world. Now let me explain how aliens are actually angels according to the Bible. As we look in Renaissance paintings, there is an eerie theme. There's mysterious, unidentified crafts witnessing very historical biblical events, such as the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. When the fallen angels seen human women, they lusted for them and manipulated human DNA by interbreeding. This resulted in the Nephilim giants being born.
The second thing that bothers me is the UFO story. And, you know, the more you dig into that and talk to people with actual knowledge of it, again, that's another story where there are some, fanciful ideas floating around that are just, there's no evidence that they're true. But if you talk to people who, have actual knowledge of it that they gathered themselves, there are parts of that story that I do not understand at all that are really, really, really dark. It's so dark that I, haven't told my wife about it. I mean, I haven't verified any of this, but this is not just stuff that I read on the internet. I know you all are very, very grounded in that story, so I think I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But there's some stuff there that's just like, man, I'm not even sure what that means. There's a spiritual component there that I don't fully understand. So yes, that story bothers me. And I think, last thing I'll say, that one of the reasons that we've had all these disclosures and all these, 10 whistleblowers at this point, and it hasn't really become front page news. Part of it's suppression. Parts of the government don't want you to know about it, but part of it is the public can't deal with it. It's too far out. The implications are too profound. And so, and I understand that, because I've heard things where I'm just like, oh man, I don't even really want to know that, honestly.
Deeply disturbing stuff. Forget like saucers and technology. It's deeply disturbing stuff that I haven't even told Natalie.
The justification one often hears is, well, the government, various presidents who have been read in, not all have been, haven't wanted to disclose this because it would scare people. And I've always thought that's bullshit. You're hiding a crime, which they are, by the way, in my opinion. But I do think there's a sense in which that's not totally crazy. Like, there is some stuff, if it's true, and I'm kind of thinking it may be true, that's so radical that, as we both said, we don't want to tell the people we love most about it, because, why would you, disturb someone like that? So I kind of get that. I hate to admit it. I'm not arguing for hiding things. I believe in the truth and I believe in disclosure, but I understand the impulse. Like, holy smokes, this is heavy. You know what I mean? And
the government's involvement in it makes it even heavier, because then you realize the complicity.
Exactly. The second thing that bothers.
So y'all remember when them Las Vegas teens that made that 911 call about the 10-foot aliens been in their backyard? He said that he saw giant creatures, and he believes that they may have been demonic entities or fallen angels. He didn't have sleep paralysis looking at these entities for 30 seconds. And he said he remembered him closing his eyes and praying, and they going away.
What exactly?
Listen to what he said in this interview.
I was in another room, my brother called me, there was a upside down cross, and there was a Jesus statue in it. They ripped Jesus out of it, they threw him across the room, and it was floating upside down.
Are you saying floating in the air?
Yeah, in the air, it was floating upside down.
What did you do? I mean, did you go and pick it up? Did you knock it down?
No, I didn't do nothing, I was just sitting there, I was crazy, I was like, what?
But how did it come down? It's not still floating right now, is it?
No, it came down, so we got closer to it and then it dropped.
It fell to the ground. A crucifix floating in the air, upside down. The Jesus on the crucifix had been ripped off, and it was floating. And you can say definitively, without lies, that that is what you saw?
Yes.
Starting to make sense of why people say that these UFOs is fallen angels, ain't it? And we know a certain somebody is the Prince of Air. But I want to know y'all thoughts on what y'all think about this Las Vegas teen coming out and saying that the UFO that crashed in his backyard was a fallen angel. In the comments, like and follow for more wisdom and stay tuned.
We didn't know that we're fallen angels, that we're actually fallen angels, part 1. So we are going to be talking about Mothman. So Mothman is this cryptid that is always seen right before huge disasters. So much so, he even has his own statue in West Virginia, and a lot more than that. It's said the first most publicized sighting of this Mothman was at the Silver Bridge right before it was destroyed. Now no, over 100 people saw this Mothman before the bridge collapsed, right? They even passed polygraph test. Even crazier than that, check out this picture. Seems like he liked to hang around there. Check out this one too. And that's not the only event he's been seen at. He's been seen at many destructive events, like Chernobyl. People say he lives in this thing, but let's be real, he's multidimensional. He don't live in there. Some dude randomly caught a picture of him flying from tree to tree. Really, watch.
These pictures, supposedly taken by a man who says he was driving along State Highway 2 at Point Pleasant, saw something jump from tree to tree. So he pulled off the road to take these pictures. The man declined an on-camera interview, but is adamant the pictures are real. And some locals like Carolyn Harris believe it.
I definitely know that the Mothman's real.
No, it's not a cryptid. It's a fallen angel. And like all fallen angels, they love to be worshipped. There is a day called Mothman Day where 10,000 people come out. The same exact way we worship a different fallen angel, Ishtar, on Easter. Is Mothman a Mothman? Sure, when he wants to be. Things we didn't know that were fallen angels.
Egyptian gods are fallen angels. Most of the Egyptian gods are biblically accurate cherubim angels that fell from grace after starting a war against God. I'll explain that more later, so stay until the end. Ancient Egypt was a place known to practice black magic and communicate with these fallen angels that deceived them into thinking they were gods. The clear way to see this truth is to observe how the so-called Egyptian gods have halos. Now look at a picture of an Egyptian god next to Christ. Do you notice the halos? Meaning they both are from a place of grace. Interestingly enough, most of the Egyptian gods have these halos above their heads, and some even have wings. These are the biblically accurate class of angels that fell, known as the cherub angels. And here's a way to tell. Cherub angels are usually part animal, part human. In Ezekiel, he's seen these angels saying they possess 4 faces: a bird, an ox, a human, and a lion. It is also believed that these angels can shapeshift as well. For example, the demon Beelzebub was once a cherub angel but shape-shifted into a giant fly-like demonic creature and became the Lord of the Flies. It's interesting that some of these so-called Egyptian gods just so happens to be half human and have one of the faces of an animal that a cherub usually has. That is no coincidence. You would think it would be obvious to the public that these beings are demonic, but nowadays you have people indoctrinating ancient Egyptian beliefs into their everyday lives. I will be making a second part to this video, so follow me and share this with a friend for part 2 about how.
Okay, so I've gathered up more information on this story, and a lot of you were asking, where exactly in Russia was this fallen angel statue found? Okay, so the fallen angel was actually found 340 kilometers, or 210 miles, away from a town called Zaya in Amur Oblast. Now, I did a little more digging into this story, and there was an alleged translation from Russian into English in the original video. Now, the Russian workers mark reference to repenting around this fallen angel statue and talking about some form of unknown energy emitting and irradiating from deep within inside it. Now, the Russian workers who discovered the fallen angel have since disappeared and are nowhere to be found. The only things left behind was a mobile phone and the excavator who was originally helping the workers unearth this angel of unknown origin. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I would say that this story gives you something to really think about, right? Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about this story. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Let me know your comments. What are your thoughts on this? Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit follow. I upload multiple videos every single week, and I'll see you in the next one.
You still think these giant craters are caused by asteroids? Aw, that's sweet. Well, if you don't want that fantasy ruined for you, I wouldn't keep watching. Let's start by looking how many of these craters have been found. And the Google machine says 190, but I've seen up to 195, which is awfully close to the number 200. 200 that just happens to be the exact same number of the fallen angels or watchers that were banished down to Earth for committing sins with human women. And then what if I also told you there's a pyramid in the middle of a crazy city where at the very top of it was a chamber where they had 200 perfectly aligned, beautiful seats. 200 exactly. And then I told you that the town name that pyramid's in just happens to be an anagram of the word Satan. Also has a light in it that looks very, very familiar. So familiar that I knew I had seen it somewhere before. We know what that is. That's the Olympic torch. And if you've seen my Chicago or New York videos, you know who that really is, holding that torch. The head of the fallen angels, Lucifer, the light bearer. The light bearer who not only puts his light in plain sight, but puts his home at the head of a phoenix. And we just know how Hollywood loves to tell us the truth right in their movies.
We were not stone then, but light. It was not our place to interfere. Yet we chose to try and help mankind. And when we disobeyed the Creator, He punished us. We were encrusted by your world. Rock and mud shackled our fiery glow.
Maybe, just maybe, there are some fallen angels here, and they're trying to deceive us to get revenge on God, trying to make us think there is no God, and that we just came on an accident, random Big Bang, and that we evolved from monkeys, and that we live on just one of infinite spinning balls. But I know the truth. I know they're not even possible the way they tell us, because I've researched. And if you still think these are caused from asteroids from outer space, then my friend, you have a lot of research to do. My hope for you is that one day you get fire up your butt so bad that you will stop at nothing, and I mean nothing, until you find the truth about this place you live. Because it's there, and this sure as hell isn't it. But as always, I was just here for your entertainment purposes. I don't believe any of this I said. All this was just joking opinion. Yeah, of course, Space Rocks hit this.
Lucifer and his angels wanted to be worshipped as gods, so they were casted out of heaven and were sent to earth. When they came here, however, they lived out their plan as being worshipped as gods amongst humans. The fallen angels seem to change up their identity to deceive every generation. Let's take a look at some of the earliest signs of these fallen angels being worshipped. Ancient Egypt is one of the most impacted cultures regarding idolatry. We can see the worship of over 2,000 gods in the Egyptian pantheon. But is this just the worship of idol statues? Or were the ancient Egyptians actually seeing these fallen angels? Well, to answer that, the truth is in the mystery of Egypt itself. The mysterious and incomprehensible construction of the pyramids of Giza, the practice of magic by the ancient Egyptians, and the riches and arrogance of the Egyptian pharaohs reflecting the same beliefs the fallen angels have. The Bible even tells us about how evil the Pharaoh was in Exodus, when the pharaohs enslaved and oppressed the Israelites. Pharaoh was described as having a hardened heart. Now let's speak about the pyramids of Giza. The pyramids of Giza are perfectly aligned with the 3 stars in the constellation of Orion. This precision did not just occur by accident. There was definitely an intelligent mind behind this creation, far more complex than human beings of the time. and we are told who helped the ancient Egyptians simply by looking at the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Lucifer.
You know the symbol is widely used in America in the medical industry. Now many interpret this symbol as a symbol of the Kundalini rising up the spine to the third eye chakra, opening your mind. You can actually find this symbol with the Baphomet sitting in his lap. But this symbol is actually the caduceus, or the staff of Hermes, a Greek mythology deity. Now the thing is, Hermes is well known as the messenger of gods, with the ability to convey messages between the divine realms, the underworld, and the world of the mortals. He is also well known as a trickster. A good question would be, why do we use Greek mythology symbolism here in America, especially in the medical industry? Not only that, in Greek mythology, there's actually a god of medicine, Asclepius, if that's how you say his name. And this is his symbol, which is used in the medical industry throughout the world. So that would really lead you to question, why do we use the Hermes staff? Could this be because they worship the trickster? If you don't know, the earliest translation of the Bible was from Hebrew to Greek. And we actually get some of our English words from the Greek words, like pharmakia, we have pharmacy and pharmacist. Pharmakia meaning magic, sorcery, witchcraft, enchantments, drugs, and medication. Now if you look to the Holy Prophecy, Revelations 18:23, for by thy pharmakia were all nations deceived. Now obviously we don't use pharmakia in our translation, we use sorcery, which is in the meaning of pharmakia, well, one of them. And I know in America we're taught that these deities are actually just fiction, but in other countries they actually believe them to be true and real, and people still worship them to this day. If you look to the Holy Bible and look at Greek mythology, you can actually find correlation between the two. I actually have speculated that Greek mythology is actually just the story of the fallen angels. Of course, that's my beliefs, and I can definitely do a deep dive on that if you'd like. Greek mythology wasn't really documented until 700 BC. You could imagine a lot of things got mixed up because it was all word of mouth. But multiple religions speak of multiple gods. So maybe the reason we use Greek mythology symbols is because the powers at hand worship these gods still to this day. If you know this.
Alright you guys, I got another movie breakdown. This one is Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen. Now the title of this movie was a dead giveaway, that there are stars falling from the sky, right? And they're grouping up by a mountain. That's all biblical. In the book of Enoch, it shows the fallen angels, they group at this rock. But the movie starts off of the days of old, right? Melanated beings, right? Coming in contact with aliens, right? Their ship crashes on Earth, right? And you know what happens when they come in contact with humans. That's, anyway. But this is significant.
They form an alliance with the humans. A secret but brave squad of soldiers.
Optimus said a secret squad of soldiers. So basically the fallen angels are in cahoots with the government. They tell us without telling us in these movies, secret group with humans. All these movies have the same message. Aliens falling from the sky looking for a home. These aliens are cast out of heaven. They can't go back. So now they're looking for Earth. This is the only resort, because it's below heaven. But I got a theory right here. He yells out Bumblebee. Now my theory is, along with Optimus Prime, right? Bumblebee is a high-ranking demon in the Bible that's alongside Lucifer when they fall from heaven. My theory is that Optimus Prime is Satan, but I'm gonna go into that in another video. But I believe Bumblebee is also another name for Beelzebub, which is also a high-ranking demon, is the prince of hell. Satan being the leader, the king, right, of hell, and then Beelzebub will be the prince.
Software acknowledges.
Coming down to Earth. He wouldn't have been able to do that because space is a vacuum. He would have to use his thrusters. If you notice the swooshing sound, he's in water. He's descending from heaven, because heaven is water, to our earth. He is a fallen angel. So they tell us without telling us.
You gotta wonder. God made us in his image. Who made him?
Comment part 2. Like and share.
Alright you guys.
Dusty, what do you think about aliens?
Well, I don't think aliens are real. I mean, I think people are seeing things, but I think aliens are demons.
Same.
Yeah.
Like literal demons?
Yeah, you know, Aleister Crowley, or Crowley, however you say it, he was the father of Satanism, and he says he was visited by a demon, and then either him or his wife drew a picture of the demon, and the demon looked like what we would
like a gray
alien.
Dude, that's an alien.
I literally clicked on without seeing
And then you
scary,
can
but-
take the picture of two Apple logos together that looks like an alien like that.
Oh, trippy.
Well, thanks a lot, Steve.
Look at this. Look at this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness.
Oh,
I've never.
whoa.
It's like an, what is that? The Rorschach test?
Like an ink blot. Yeah, if you look at that and you just see two apples next to each other, you've lived a good life.
Your parents stayed together.
Yeah.
Dusty, what do you think about aliens?
Well, I don't think.
At that moment, I honestly thought maybe it was our own technology, and I was running up against some super uber secret sap, and they were telling me to stop. And I said, okay, sir, so it's ours? And he said, no, that's not what I'm saying. And he said, he asked me point blank, have you read your Bible lately? And I wasn't quite sure where he was going with that. And I said, well, sir, I think I know what it says. Where are you going with this? And he said, well, then you would know that these things are demonic and we should not be pursuing them.
Many people who were abducted called out to Jesus Christ, and the so-called aliens got scared and the abduction stopped. It is well known that demons feared Jesus, as seen in Matthew chapter 8 verses 28 to 34. If these were outer space aliens, they would not tremble at the name of Jesus Christ.
At that moment,
Are gray aliens demonic? Guys, I think I found a verse right within the Bible that may actually clear this debate once and for all, though I'm still split on this idea, and I'd love to hear your theories about it. So check this out. In Revelation 16:13, it says, "And I saw two demonic spirits leaving the mouth of the dragon and the beast and the false prophet, and they were as frogs." Guys, what does that sound like? I mean, come on. Also, the word here for demonic is actually the same word that is used for lewd or unclean. So that's a very interesting tidbit. And then I also looked up the word for frogs here in the Greek. The word is batrachio, and it literally just means frogs. And it's also the only time within the New Testament I could even find that word. Find this fascinating. What do you guys think? Is this actually telling us that the gray aliens here are actual demonic spirits that they're within that capacity? Or is there something else going on here? Is this purely symbolic? I know what I think, but I want to know what you think. My name's Cub. Follow for more in this series.
Hot off the press, Catholic theologian Dr. Paul Thigpen says that aliens are demons created by evil powers to feed on human passions. Thigpen also explained that alien abduction stories have a ton of parallels with stories of people who have seen demons. Oh, and he also explained that the US government knows way more than they let on about UFOs. He went on to say, the diabolical hypothesis that aliens are demons best accounts for some UAP reports, especially some of the so-called alien abductions that demonstrate clear parallels with what the church knows as demonic encounters. Alien abduction stories and encounter stories are very common. In fact, every year, millions of people claim to have had such experience. So what do you think? Are aliens demons? Hot off the press.
The world believes in aliens, but aliens are simply fallen angels posing as outer space ETs to deceive the public. Let's speak about the biblical prophet Elijah's encounter and how this matches up with Western pop culture's UFO abduction stories. Kings 2 verse 11 says, and I quote, "As they were walking along and talking together, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them, and Elijah went up to heaven in a whirlwind." Now let's break this encounter down piece by piece. What is a chariot of fire? Well, firstly, understand that Elijah lived in a time where technology didn't exist. Elijah was trying his best to explain the advanced forms of technology these angels were displaying. So Elijah says chariot because this was the only form of transportation he was familiar with. So Elijah seen some type of vehicle that he best explained in his own words as a chariot of fire. Elijah was explaining this advanced vehicle in primitive words. Elijah calling this a chariot of fire implies that this vehicle had some kind of fire-based propulsion system similar to how a rocket ship's propulsion system emits flames. Now that we broke down what a chariot of fire is, let's dive into how Elijah was taken up into a whirlwind. This sounds very similar to a modern-day UFO abduction. Many UFO abduction stories describe how the abductee seen a UFO and then was levitated into the craft from this beam.
What are aliens? Aliens are modern-day Nephilim hybrids, and also fallen angels. They try to reveal themselves to people as our creators, and that is extremely far from the truth. Jesus said, as in the days of Noah, so it will be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. In Noah's day, there was the crossbreeding of the sons of God, B'nai Elohim, and the daughters of men, human women, and they begot giants called the Nephilim. These were the ones that you would hear about in history and Greek mythology like Hercules and others. The Bible has the most accurate depictions of them. They were a perverted offspring. And the fallen angels are the ancient Greek and Roman and Egyptian gods. And notice I say fallen angels, and those are false gods. The Bible isn't separate from our world. The Bible is about our world. So when you see all this stuff, understand that the enemy is behind it, trying to turn the attention away from Yeshua. Yeshua's coming soon. Hit like and follow for more. What are aliens?
The Nephilim, referred to in ancient texts, are often depicted as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. These beings are described as giants or mighty men of renown existing in the days before the Great Flood. The mystery surrounding their true nature, whether divine beings, mythical giants, or ancient astronauts, sets the stage for a fascinating investigation into one of history's most intriguing questions. Were they angels or aliens?